Top 3 practice planning tips. So now, keep everything short, line short, coach the players, be patient. Top 3 practice planning tips. I write everything down. And not only do I write everything down, but I put time limits. Even the note speech. Even my note for the speech. I have it written down 9:10 to 9:50. Okay? Now, I write it down for multiple reasons. One, if I just write down 7 drills, okay, that's a good start. But here's the 7 things I need to accomplish today in practice. And maybe drill number 2, it's a fun drill. The kids are having fun. You're having fun with it. It's a great drill. Everyone's doing a lot of things. And you end up spending 20 minutes out of your hour and a half practice. Now all of a sudden you come to the end of practice, you look, there's 3 things you didn't cover. Oops. And that'll happen. I mean, there's sometimes where you miss 1 or 2 things. That'll happen. On the flip side of it, you may have 7 things written down with no time on it. Again, it's a good start. But as you're doing this, you're like, ooh, that drill's awful. I'm gonna get out of that one. Or maybe you skip something. Okay? And all of a sudden, you're done with your 7 and you look up at the clock. Oh, we got 20 minutes left. Now what? Okay? I write everything down with minutes. Okay? So if practice starts at 4, all my lesson plans, I can show you 1,000 lesson plans for anything we teach. 4 to 4:03, kids just run around. 4:03 to 4:04, attendance. 4:04 to 4:08, dribbling. Here's what we're gonna cover. 4:08 to 4:13, shooting. Here's what we're gonna cover. Okay? And what that does is that A, keeps me on task. B, as I'm writing this out, I realize, okay, I've covered everything I need. Okay? And I can, if I stay on task, I'll get everything covered. Now, does it always work? Absolutely not. Okay? But what I've realized is by having it written down, I may get out of a drill because it's not working, or maybe I cut it short because I had it for 10 minutes and I'm like, that's too long. Let's get out of it after 6. As I'm doing this, I realize, okay, I'm gonna be short 5 or 10 minutes. So as practice is going on, I can mentally start thinking, what can I do for 5 or 10 minutes? So that when it gets done, I know exactly what I'm gonna roll into. If you don't have those times down, you're stuck looking at the clock saying, okay, 10 minutes. Get a drink, guys. What should we do? You know, now you're kind of scrambling. A good example is Wednesday. Those that were here, I don't think anyone here is here for the boys. We had a boys group practice. We had about 50 some kids. And it really was for me to be able to split the 5th and 6th graders up because we had kind of pockets. So it was gonna be I wanted to kind of try to get those split up as best as I could. So I had this great lesson plan that, 4th graders were gonna be a group, 5th graders a group, 6th graders and 3rd graders each were their own group. I had 4 coaches, including myself. It was a great lesson plan. It covered everything that I really wanted to. I was gonna get to see the kids doing drills that I wanted to, that I could rate them. That kind of dealt with a little bit of everything. 3:20, or about 3 o'clock, I get a text from one of the workers, hey, I have to go see a teacher after school. I should be there around 3:30, 3:40. We start at 3:30. I thought, all right, no big deal. I can tweak this. I can pull someone from the office for 10 minutes. Not a big deal. About 3:28, I get the text. My car won't start. I'm stuck at the school. Okay. Now, my beautiful lesson plan, I have to kind of change it up. But I still had a good framework. So I quickly kind of took a few minutes to figure out how can I do this, came up with a plan, still used my framework, just had to tweak it a little bit. But if I didn't have that framework, I have no idea how that hour and 15 could have gone. Okay? So I would write it down and I would be specific with times. The cons of writing it down, I really can't think of any. Usually I can always think of something. Scott, the Parks and Rec director, and I are very good at being devil's advocate for stuff we want to do. Let's do this. Okay, well, what about if this happens? What about if that happens? I can't really honestly think of any cons for writing down and being specific with practice planning. Top 3 practice planning tips. Number 2, I would keep the drills short. Okay, 7 to 10 minutes. Okay, if you have to explain a new drill, add 2 or 3 minutes. But if you're explaining a drill for 5 minutes, it's probably too much. It's probably too crazy of a drill. Okay? And you might have to stop and, that didn't work, or, change, modify it a little bit. But really, you should be able to explain your drill, part of John Wooden's, explain it, demonstrate it in slow motion, and then have the kids repetition, 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 repetition. Okay? Again, anything longer than 10, you're gonna get kids floating out there. Okay? The other practice planning tip I would have for you is if you're working on shooting, and when we talk about our forest shooting method, there's 6 different things you could really concentrate on. I would pick one. When you're dribbling, have them concentrate on one of the 3 things we're going to talk about. Okay? Again, it's overloading. Okay? If you try to have a kid work on a dribble, on shooting, and work on 2 different things, odds are they won't do any of the 2. But if you have them just concentrate on one, they can do that. Now, you might get a really good athlete that's got that down, and you see maybe they're off. Maybe you're working on that pinch, but now you see their offhand off. As long as you're doing the pinch right, you can, hey, don't forget that offhand up high. Okay? But if they're not pinching and they got the offhand up high, don't worry about the offhand, get that pinch, or whatever your focus is. Okay? The same I'm going to tell you holds true for timeouts during games. Okay? 2 things with timeouts. If you try to draw that great last second play to get a shot off and you've never practiced it, I will bet our department's budget that it will not work. I will bet the budget that it will not work. And if you score, it's not going to be what you drew up. It's going to be because some kid just threw it up there. Okay? So only expect the kids to do what you practiced. Okay? And I'm going to tell you, this holds true at all levels. When I was the freshman coach, the varsity coach was what ended up being a Hall of Fame in the coaching profession. Won championships in the late 70s at Heartland Arrowhead. Okay, coached a couple different colleges as an assistant when he got older. Okay, but he would draw up these diagrams. Okay, varsity players, and he would draw up this last second and play. And it's like, well, we've never worked on this, and I'll guarantee you, they never worked. They never worked. Okay. But also to the fact where, okay, maybe he drew it up, if this is the court, he drew it up with the sideline over here, going this way, and guess what? They sideline over here. You know what? The players were clueless. They couldn't, in their mind, varsity players, flip it. So he said, okay, here's the ball, sideline over here. Okay, Megan, you're gonna stand here. Megan didn't realize that when it was over here, that Megan should stand here. Okay, so again, unless if you're practicing that stuff, it's not going to happen with players. The other thing, as far as writing stuff down, I even write down my rotation for games. Okay, we think for like softball, we talk about like putting defensive positions in, so that so you're prepared in the second inning. You guys are going here, mainly for catchers. But I do it for basketball, and this stems from back when I was a middle school coach. I had about 13, 14 kids, and we played everybody in the half, and all of a sudden, I looked down, and it's the start of the 3rd quarter, and I looked down, and I realized, oh crap, Travis never got in. Travis was 2nd or 3rd player from the end, kind of shorter, kind of hiding. As I was subbing in kids, I just missed him. Just flat out missed him. It wasn't anything he did, it just, unfortunately, I missed him. So I'll just pass this on. And what I do for basketball is whenever you're gonna sub at 5-minute mark, depending on how many kids, you might be shorter than that. I'll write down the positions, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, who's going where. Again, that way as everything's going on, I don't have to think to myself, Shania, go in, okay, what position she's playing? I don't know, ask her, because you'll have a lot of going on during a game. This way you can say, hey, she's a 2. You're going to be the 2 now, especially because you may have kids playing different positions. But what I do then is I set this up so that everyone's got not necessarily equal time. Now, if you're Jefferson and they say equal time, then it's equal time. Okay? Our rules state they have to play 10 minutes in a game. If it's a disciplinary, we can do less. Okay? Most of our teams, most of the kids will get to play about half the game anyways. but we don't have that necessarily as a league rule. But my teams, they're going to play about half, okay? But what I will do is I will have at the end, you'll see if it's a blowout. Either way, I mix it up a little bit. Maybe let this kid be the point guard. Maybe mix this up. I don't need this kid in the game at the end of the game for up or down by 20. Or I've got a rotation that's, if it's a close game. If it's a close game, I want these 5 players out on the floor for the last 4 or 5 minutes because they might give us the best chance.